Hey everyone, Brandon here from Zaid Comics, artist and co-creator on the upcoming graphic novel Magic Cop, set to launch on Indiegogo in August of 2019, and I am just one half of the two best-looking brothers in the whole comic book industry, and today I'm here to talk to you guys about Gotham. And in 2014, they came out with the show, and I remember seeing the previews for it, and it was kind of an unusual take on the idea of having a program about Batman. I grew up with all of the Batman animated series and into the Justice League Unlimited, Batman Beyond, and then The Batman, and Batman Brave and the Bold, and then now we have Gotham. And it was live action, and it was kind of an interesting take. The previews show a very young Bruce Wayne, and he's being taken care of kind of by Commissioner Gordon. It seems like his parents had just been murdered, and that's where we kind of fall into the universe of Batman, even though he doesn't really exist yet. And so I didn't watch it for years. I don't know how many years, maybe 3 years. I didn't even watch the show because I thought, what a dumb idea. Who wants to watch a Batman show that doesn't have Batman in it? Commissioner Gordon, like, yeah, Commissioner Gordon's all right. I don't want to watch a cop show that's set in the Batman universe. I was right, because the first season is pretty bad. After a couple years, I watched it, and I thought, man, this is a crime show that's set in the Batman universe, and they're kind of just sprinkling in, oh, here's a girl named Selena Kyle, but their friends call her Cat. Oh, here's this little redheaded girl, our friends call her Ivy. He's basically just fighting inner city crime. You know, Gordon has to arrest Penguin, and then Penguin again, and then Penguin again. I did enjoy the Riddler, the character development that they had of him kind of falling into insanity, which was pretty nice. And then at the end of the season, it was like, well, what am I going to do? Just keep watching the rest of the seasons. As the seasons go on, the show gets much, much better. I actually recommend the show. So if you have not seen Gotham, pause the video, watch all 5 seasons, and then you'll come back and we'll resume the video. Okay, so after all is said and done, Gotham turned out to be a really, really good show. The 5th season is the last one, and it's probably the best season. I think it kind of sums up everything really, really well. It creates an environment for Commissioner Gordon, and now, who is mature enough to be almost Batman, Bruce Wayne, kind of coming into his own and understanding that he has to stand up and protect Gotham, because everything that's gone wrong in Gotham is his fault for some reason. The show has some really interesting uses of characters. I like how they put in some of the more realistic characters, but then they do also use some of the more outlandish, unrealistic characters, like the Penguin and the Riddler. They can both be very easily done in the real world. The actor that they got to play the Penguin at first was a pretty bad decision. We've always seen the Penguin as this, fat old guy, even though probably 20 years in the past with Batman, so Penguin's going to be a younger guy. They choose this younger Penguin, and it works really, really well for Penguin. We get to see a Penguin development, kind of an awkward guy, and that really drives his psychosis into becoming this like big badass crime boss, and it works really, really well. And then in the 5th season, we eventually see him, same actor, a bit heavier. He's kind of got the padded Santa Claus suit on, so he's a little bit fatter, and he's got the monocle and the top hat. So he finally comes to the self-fulfilling prophecy of looking like the Penguin that we know from the comics, which was really cool. Ventriloquist and Scarface, he was in a single episode. He looks exactly like him, and then he gets shot in the head immediately, and then that was the end of that guy's chapter. Mr. Freeze, which they did not use well enough at all. I don't know, was that suit too expensive for the budget or something? It was pretty cool because he was a young Mr. Freeze and he was actually kind of angry. He had hair, and then he kind of was the yin to the yang of the Firefly that we finally seen in live action. And they made Firefly a female character, that it worked well, and she was a character who was just kind of woven into the fabric of the show, and then she ends up becoming Firefly. They could have put some other characters that they haven't put in there yet. You remember Ivy from earlier, the little girl who was just a girl named Ivy, and then she didn't do anything? It was just kind of in the background. She ends up falling into a pit of acid or something, and then she gets mutated into this like hot chick. They give Ivy like this boost because Poison Ivy is a really cool character. They bring her old enough to where she could become an actual villain. She mutates again and then becomes another hot chick who's also older, and then she becomes like evil, and like really evil, like I'm gonna destroy Gotham evil. They did a really nice job portraying her, portrayed as a witch, which I think was a really cool way of doing that, instead of giving them the spin of like these metahumans and stuff that DC does a lot. I think it was really clever of them to use the kind of norms of realistic society to label her as a witch instead of something that doesn't really exist in reality. Like Mad Hatter, which Mad Hatter had an entire season about him because Mad Hatter is the most popular Batman villain of all time, obviously. In the last season, we go through the Dark Knight kind of finally rising up and becoming Batman. Except that only happens in the last episode. They finally give us a Joker because we had Jerome Velasco, and then we have Jeremiah Velasco because they're twins, and then they weren't Joker, they were Jerome, and because Gotham couldn't use Joker at the time, and they actually never even say Joker in the whole series, it's the Joker. And they give him both Jokers. They scarred up face Joker from the comics, and then, you know, when he has his face peeled off, and then they give you Vacation Joker with the flat hat and the pale makeup and stuff, and then they give you crazy Heath Ledger Joker in the final episode, except he's all Toxic Avenger and stuff. And then they go along and introduce probably one of the more popular characters, Bane. Now, we've seen Bane in his many forms. Luchador Bane, guy with mask on who can't speak Bane, jacked out of his mind Bane. The one that they choose in to do in Gotham, yeah, they do mask over his face Bane, and you can't even understand him. What is that? That's not Bane. And he's in a few episodes, and then they quickly dispatch him because he sucks, and he was horrible. So finally, this is probably one of the coolest, it's not executed very well, but it's probably one of the coolest visions of Batman we've seen. Costumes, whatever, it's a Batman costume. You know, it's in one scene, and they spent as little money on it as possible, I'm sure. We have been asking for this for a long time. I want to see how the villains see Batman from the villain's perspective. I know we had a little bit of that in Suicide Squad. I didn't like the way that they did that, but here it's done just enough because the show's not about Batman. It's about Commissioner Gordon, and it's about the villains, and it's about how the villains are trying to take over the city. And then now, in the last episode, Batman is there, and nobody knows where this guy came from. It's 10 years in the future. Everybody's been in prison for the last 10 years, or cleaning up the streets of Gotham for the last 10 years. And now, Bruce Wayne comes back in town, and he brings Batman with him. They're the same person. The Penguin and the Riddler are riding in the back of a limousine. The roof of the limousine caves in. Batman's cape covers over the windshield, crashes, gets out of the car, freaking out. Him and Riddler look up in the sky. Batman's shadow is gliding down towards them, and you just see the terror in their face. It was pretty bad acting, but I liked the way conceptually Batman was portrayed here, because I think that's exactly how we need to see Batman. Just like at the end of Batman Arkham Knight, Bruce Wayne dies because Wayne Manor gets blown up. Everybody finds out that he's Batman, and then Batman's been gone for a long time. And then all of a sudden he shows up again with the Scarecrow's fear toxin, and now he's just this monster of the night. He doesn't even exist as Bruce Wayne anymore. He's just Batman. That's the Batman I want to see now. We've had all the iterations of Batman. Goofy Batman from the 60s, serious Batman and Michael Keaton. We've had stupid Batman with George Clooney, gravelly Batman with Christian Bale, Batfleck, which I think was a really good portrayal, probably the closest portrayal to a cartoon Batman, because cartoon Batman was very serious. I really, really want to see that terrorizing, horrific Batman that we see at the end of Arkham Knight, and they almost do it in Gotham, and that's why Gotham was a really good show. I suggest that everybody watch it. Get through the first season. The first season's not great. Sorry, first season. But second, third, fourth, fifth season's only 12 episodes. It's pretty easy to watch, but you have to watch all the rest of the episodes first. Watch it. It's a good show. Subscribe to us on our newsletter on zaidcomics.com, and we'll see you guys next time.